Good morning, good morning. Welcome to Rapid Talks with Anthony. Today we're going to have a insightful conversation. For those who are new to the channel, we make mental health conversations and content that's going to be beneficial to your personal development in addition to your well-being, right? But in today's conversation, we're going to be talking about you don't need motivation, you need safety, right? So many people believe that they're struggling because of lack of motivation. They can't be able to move on to the next stage or goal, etc., right? So what if the problem wasn't motivation? It's your body or your mind telling you that, it's needing some safety, right? So something's going on with the nervous system. You're feeling me? You're not being able to be intuitive with your body, and this is causing you to not being able to move forward, right? So let's dive into this video, right? So I want to be able to normalize this experience because, like I said, you're not the only one that's going through this, right? So many people blame themselves when they feel stuck, when they feel overwhelmed, or even feel unmotivated, right? So stress, anxiety, burnout, even like I said, the uncertainty can make it difficult to move forward when it comes to these tasks, right? So it's common to think that you need more discipline, you need to, sharpen your skills, you need to keep pushing through, right? But you really got to take in consideration that you got to be able to be intuitive with your body, be intuitive with yourself, right? And understand that support and that stability, is something that you could need, right? So the lack of motivation is not always pushing yourself towards you're lazy or just like using words to sabotage yourself or keep you in a state that's like, not going to help you get out of, that depression or that bad state of mind or that negativity or that rumination, right? Sometimes it's just, like I said, being intuitive with your nervous system, allowing yourself to have that self-compassion, telling yourself that you are enough, and then, giving yourself that motivation, that positive self-talk to help you engage into smaller, manageable things for you to kind of get back onto track, right? So anything's possible, but like I said, we really got to be like intuitive with ourselves. I always advise people to, like I said, journal, write these things down, build that rapport with yourself, right? We got to spend time with ourselves, right? Mindfulness, have that time to go kind of detach from social media, different things that may be causing clutter into your mind, right? And do things that are going to give you the mindfulness so you're able to, like I said, get your goals situated. In regards to some psychoeducation, the nervous system prioritizes, like I said, safety before growth, learning, even performance, right? If your body doesn't feel safe, you feel me? It's thinking about safety, right? Even for when it comes to animals, right? If an animal doesn't, it doesn't feel safe, it's not going to eat. It's not going to do what it wants to do. It's not going to thrive, right? So you got to make sure that you feel whole, you feel supported, you feel safe, right? Yeah, that's why I always advise, for you guys to be in conducive environments, right? Being around supportive people. Even for myself, I'll put myself out there, right? I had an IEP growing up in school, so I needed more support. I needed to be able to have accommodations in a different area, different zone, right? And a word that is not really used because they kind of disqualified it, but I want to kind of just say it is retarded. And I'm not using that in a, in a negative way, but I really kind of wanted to kind of give us some real, context here, because this was used back in the day, right? And it was used to kind of tear people down, make them feel inadequate, make them feel, incapable, right? And it kept you in, like I said, that rumination, that self-sabotage, as if not able to do things, and you're comparing yourself to other people, right? But I really want us to take in consideration, like, do things that are going to be beneficial for your well-being, so you're able to, like I said, navigate, right? So it's not about to the left, to the right, right? So think about what you got going on, think about what's on your plate, and like I say, push forward so you're able to do the things that you have to do. But like I said, we have to take in consideration about safety. Safety is a priority, right? We're not going to be able to be our best selves. We're not going to be able to perform, learn, grow, etc. If we're not able to, like I said, prioritize the safety, right? So when you feel threatened, you feel overwhelmed, you feel emotionally exhausted in regards to that energy. Often, like I said, there's a shift that is pushed towards, like I said, protection rather than, like I said, productivity, right? So things ain't going to start to go. The engine's cut off because the safety is a priority, right? So it's difficult to focus on your goals when your mind, like I said, is in that survival mode. I gotta highlight some people out here that come from dysfunctional households, right? This is why, let's be real, your grades and all these different things, or like I said, you may not even be reached your full potential because of your environment, because of people around you, because of negativity that's put upon you, right? These even stories, videos, etc. Nothing that I'm saying is nothing relatively new, right? There's been videos of other people that were growing up in, dysfunctional households, environments as well. And teachers said, you ain't gonna be nothing, you worthless, right? So a lot of stress amongst these individuals. Don't get it twisted. These professionals, they should not be talking this way. This is causing harm. You should not be talking to a student, right? But like, these are experiences that some people have, right? So I really want us to understand, like, when we're amongst significant chronic stress, when we're in dysfunction, when we're around people that are just, they going through a lot too, they're going through a lot of dysfunction, trauma, etc. Like, the list goes on, right? We're just prone to kind of be in this energy here. So I really want us to kind of, like I said, draw some understanding, be real to ourselves, right? Be empathetic in this process, like kind of give yourself that compassion, right? But we have to be, you feel me? kind of real in a sense. Like we got to be kind of authentic in the sense where we have to really kind of get real with this if we really want to make impact and change, right? But like I said, safety is really major, right? So safety creates that foundation to be able to motivate towards that growth out of that the situation that we just talked about, right? So like I said, I really want us to be more in tune with ourselves, write these things down, build this rapport, do more breathing, exercises, right? Release that cortisol, try to get yourself more motivated to kind of, you know what I mean, like break out of your old habits, right? Work out if possible, right? We know this, right? So 15 to 20 minutes can really do tremendous, you know, benefits in regards to breaking down that cortisol, that stress hormones in our body, right? Some of us, like I said, we could talk all day, right? But when we know better, we got to start to do better, right? So in regards to practical reframing, look into, like I said, beneath the motivation, right? Like I said, question yourself in regards to, do I feel safe? Like really trying to, like I said, build that self-rapport with yourself, right? So instead of asking yourself, how do I motivate myself? How do I push myself to kind of, like I said, push out of that zone? Ask yourself, what would help me feel safer right now? What can help me, like I said, be at ease, be in a conducive energy, right? Am I around the right people? Am I like hearing the right things, right? The social media feeds, is it helping me get to where I need to be, right? Like, what am I doing or what can I do to improve my situation? Right. So sometimes progress begins with, like I said, meeting your needs, right? Not by increasing the pressure, not by just pushing, right? You need to be building rapport with yourself. You need to be understanding what's going on with you, right? Because if you feel me, like what's going on? Because there's no way in hell that you're going to sit here and push hard and you want the things that you anticipate, but like you're not being intuitive with the person that's doing all the work, right? So even burnout, there's so many videos that we have on these things, you know what I mean? Tap into the content, but on the back end, like I said, you need to know where you're at. You need to know your capacity, right? Sometimes your body and your mind is on two different, you know, schedules and timings, right? You're tired, right? But the mind's saying, let's go. You feel me? So like you need to, come on now, we got to be real. We got to be real. Even for myself last night, I wanted to pop out. I wanted to, you know what I mean? You know, ride my bike. I wanted to kind of do things do things I wanted to do, right? I was productive in the morning. I got myself out around the afternoon. I made something off the grill, you know what I mean? And I was in the sun. Sometimes the sun, when it's on you for a long period of time, you feel a little drained. You feel you know what I mean? Like the energy's out of you type of thing, right? So I need to get some rest. I took me a little nap and that brought me to today, you feel me? So I feel real rested, but I really want us to understand that, we need to be building rapport with ourselves. You need to know your capacity. You need to know your energy levels, right? You don't need always to, like I said, finish things into one day, right? We're trying to improve, right? We're not trying to focus on perfection, right? So I really want us to understand that as well, right? So examples, like I said, I want to be able to bring into mind is taking a break instead of, like I said, forcing that productivity, right? So taking, some time to, talk to someone that you trust, right? Having quality time, quality moments, you know what I mean? Then always, like I said, trying to focus on being productive, always pushing work, right? Creating like a simple routine for yourself, right? Discipline, like I said, try your best to add 15, 20 minutes of exercise in your day. You know what I mean? Some time, you know what I mean? A little hour where you're able to kind of just have a time for you, right? Where you're able to, like I said, journal, build this rapport with yourself, right? Some of us are in therapy, wonderful. So you're using time to really, you know what I mean? Invest and develop with yourself, right? Setting boundaries is something that we're able to, like I said, work around that stress, right? We got to be able to like look at our relationships, right? Spending time in environments. I'll say it again, spending time in environments that can help you feel more grounded, right? Some of us out here, we need to be able to work on emotional regulation, right? Keeping ourselves, conducive, keeping ourselves level, keeping ourselves neutral, right? So when things come our way, stress comes our way, people talk crazy, right? We're able to keep ourselves level, right? Life is going to be life and it fluctuates, it goes up and down, right? But I really want us to understand that we need to be doing these things to keep ourselves neutral, right? Because stress comes, people try to trick us out of our positions, right? And I really want us to understand that we need to really keep ourselves neutral, right? Life's what we make of it, and we have the steering wheel of our life, right? We're not going to sit here and let life control us. We're not going to let people control us, right? We need to be making things and doing things that can be proactive for for ourselves, our well-being, and our personal development. Let's pull it back into micro action, because like I said, when you know better, you tend to do better, right? So once again, I want us to, like I said, pause, find practical times in our day where you're able to pause and have a moment where you're able to check in with yourself. Like I said, build that rapport with yourself, right? Ask yourself, what helps me feel more safe today? Like I said, the hierarchy of our conversation, the focal point of our conversation is safety. We need to understand safety is really big amongst us, right? Because like I said, we're not going to be able to thrive. We're in that survival mindset because our body's irritable. We don't trust people. We feel me? We don't trust what's going on, right? Like, let's be real. Let's be real, right? So we need to understand what's going to help us be more safe. So we're able to, like I said, get to that neutral state, we're able to start working towards, you know what I mean, taking action, you know what I mean, small manageable steps, so we're able to get towards our goal, right? So, you know, after you, like I said, you build that rapport with yourself. 3, I want us, like I said, you know, dive into, like I said, what is small action we're able to do to support our needs, right? Some of us, like I said, need to set boundaries. Some of us need to reach out to support, right? Once again, seeking support, you know what I mean? It's not a weakness. You're helping yourself out. Your future self's gonna be like, yo, I really made an investment on myself. Like, you feel me? And and it paid off. You feel me? So like, I want you to see the long term. I really want you to understand, like, you don't need to be following what other people do, right? Look at your culture, look at your family dynamic, right? If people ain't trying to do what you're doing, right? And you looking left, you're looking right, and no one's in that position, right? Someone has to take action. Someone has to take action, right? We have people out here that have done it, right? Come on now. There's people out here that have been the first gen of their family to get a degree, and it feels uncomfortable, right? But we have to become uncomfortable to become comfortable, right? So we got to understand, like, we got to do the work. We got to take action. We have to do what's best for our well-being, right? And like I said, you may not see it now, but the benefits will show later on. Moving forward, like I said, going for a walk, drinking water, eating right. Come on now, right? Calling a friend. Someone that you trust, someone that makes you feel safe, someone that makes you feel, you know what I mean, at ease. You're able to chop it up and have those real conversations with, you know what I mean? And if you can't have it with someone else, let's talk to someone that maybe is a teacher, professional, right? Sometimes you even know, like, you could talk to someone off the street and have like a dope interaction, and then, you know what I mean, like, someone that you know, is you won't even get that kind of, that genuine, real kind of authentic connection. So you just, like I said, like, try your best to kind of be optimistic. Don't get it twisted. Like, safety first, right? If someone's not giving you that, you know what I mean, comfortability, keep it pushing, right? But like I said, we really want to kind of develop this harmonious mindset with ourselves, positive mindset with ourselves, doing things that's going to be more beneficial for ourselves, right? Seeking quiet environments, so we're able to, like I said, move away from the distractions, right? Giving yourself the permission to, like I said, rest, right? You don't always have to be in the limelight. You don't always got to accommodate. You need to be accommodated into your body, right? Accommodate into your mindset, soothing yourself so you're able to be at that neutral state, right? So doing things that's going to help you have a better well-being, right? So coming to a close, like I said, the focal point of our conversation today was about safety, right? So you don't need to force yourself and force your mind, your body, right, to be, you know what I mean, doing other things that's going to be, like I said, focus on that productivity and just kind of giving outcomes and pushing through to get that motivation. You need to be looking, like I said, within yourself, because at the peace, all this stuff derived from you, right? But we need to be building that building that rapport, right? So like I said, once you get there, able to get that safety, you're able to feel supported, you're able to feel conducive, you feel neutral, you know how to manage that stress, things are gonna start to become more easy for you, right? If you found this video beneficial, share if possible, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Get the algorithm going. You know, give us a like, you know what I mean, and share, like, really put this out there so other people are able to grow in their own process, right? Because sometimes, like I said, you try to help somebody, but you don't know how to have that delivery or how to put things together, right? This is why we have the platform, so we're able to have different videos, so you're able to be, you know, get the things that you need to accommodate your well-being and your situation, right? So moving forward, I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy, stay blessed.